What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the NS9 Postgame Show here on a wonderful Sunday afternoon. I am Jim. With me is Doug. Doug, the Pirates take a game. It was a good game. 4-1 victory over the Brewers today.
Right. Anytime you get a victory like this, you have to be happy. You got great starting pitching. The relief pitching was, Holderman was fine, and Majinski could have gotten out of it without a run. You got 3 hits from your exciting prospect. You got a pinch hit home run from your probably most important player at this point, right? The guy that's extended for 8 years. You do not want to see start regressing in the first year of an 8-year deal. It's a good win. You took 2 of 4, so close to taking 3 out of 4 in Milwaukee, which has been a just house of horrors for us.
Yeah.
In a vacuum, this was a terrific game.
Yeah, good win. Let's start with Johan Oviedo. He has had his documented first inning woes, this entire season. One of the worst pitchers in the league in the first inning. But when he is not in the first inning, he's been a really good pitcher. And so I want to say today he gets out of the first inning, easy 1, 2, 3 inning. But he just completely locked in. This is now 3 straight games from Johan Oviedo where he gives up 1 run or less. 1 run or less in 4 of his last 5 starts, but
and
7 innings.
11 games this year. He's pitched 23 games. In 11 of them, he's given up 1 run or less.
Yep. So he goes 7 innings today.
And haven't pitched the 6th inning.
Yeah, I mean, he goes 7 innings today, gives up only 2 hits, only 3 walks, strikes out 6. The ERA now down to a pitching staff low of 4.18.
Yes,
he has now been better. He's been better than Mitch Keller, just from a pure number standpoint. And this is the Pirates' 3rd win in a row in a Johan Oviedo start. So just an incredible performance from him. I want to talk about him because, when we acquired him last year, you saw the stuff and you saw the potential, but it was just way too inconsistent, right? The command was all over the place. He was walking a lot of batters, but there was still some intrigue there. I feel like today, this season, really in general, you mentioned the 11 starts of 1 run or less. He's really taken a step forward. And I think maybe a month or 2 ago, if we were talking about like what a 2024 rotation looks like, I don't know if Oviedo's name is necessarily on that list, in ink. But now at this point, like Johan Oviedo is a starting pitcher for the 2024 Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't really think there's a question about it.
Absolutely. I mean, right now, you could make an argument that he's the best starting pitcher on the team, right? Just today, I'm not saying that, overall, but he's had a pretty good season. He's definitely been inconsistent, but the same could be said for Mitch Keller, right? He's now strung 3 good starts in a row. He's won 3 games in a row on a team that loses 2 out of 3. He doesn't get a lot of offensive support, and that's a problem for all the starters. But yeah, I'm here to say that North Shore 9 and all the co-hosts need to stop trying to put him into the bullpen, because that's what we've been doing since we acquired him last year. We talked about what a great bullpen pitcher would be. Right now, he is the starter. I mean, him and Keller are the starters, the only 2 starters right now that I feel confident for next season. Hopefully some of these other guys can get things figured out. But, as I see it now, we've got 2 starters going into the 2024 season. And, what do they do with schemes and the service time manipulation, et cetera, et cetera. But, he was outstanding. He's had a lot of really good. I mean, 11 of those starts. And, I mean, he had that start against Boston where he gave up 5 runs in the first inning and then was lights out and got the win. He's been pretty good. The ERA down to 4.18. The WHIP is 1.3. And you see growth on a team where we're not seeing progression. He hasn't seemed to have lost his velocity, and he's growing. And we don't have that. We bring guys up and they just get worse.
So you mentioned the velocity. Yeah, kind of across the board, you're seeing velocities down, but it doesn't really seem that way with Oviedo. He hit 97 today a few times on both his four-seamer and his sinker. Just great stuff overall. 50% whiff rate on his slider today. He had 5 whiffs on the four-seamer. Just not a lot of hard contact off of him either. Average exit velocity off of him today was 80.7. You go through an entire start and hitters are only hitting the ball 80 miles an hour off of you, like you're going to have a lot of success. So outstanding start from Johan Oviedo. Maybe not his best of the year, but it's up there with top 2 or 3 starts of the season.
Yeah, it's an encouraging start. I mean, he handled Yelich really well. Somebody we haven't been able to get out the whole series. He looked in complete command. He's got the frame. He's got the velocity. And he looks like he could be a guy that gives you 7 innings on a consistent basis and could probably give you more, but, today's baseball won't allow it. But, again, he can get through his first inning woes and just maintain his, keep his emotions in check. I think he could be a pretty good starter.
Yeah. Just outstanding start. We'll talk about the rest of the bullpen later on, but I do want to touch on the offense. The lineup came out today, and you look at it, and you're like, okay, Palacios leading off again. No Andrew McCutchen. No Brian Reynolds. You've got Alfonso Rivas hitting third. You looked at this lineup, and you probably didn't have a ton of faith going into today. And especially at the beginning of the game. I mean, Brandon Woodruff came out. I think it was strikeout.
Struck out the first 5.
Strikeout. So, halfway through the second inning, and you're basically like, this is going to be a long game, and it's not going to be a long game in the good kind of way. But the Pirates were able to get to Brandon Woodruff a little bit eventually. It started off in the 3rd inning with Endy Rodriguez. Endy Rodriguez with his first at bat of the game. Inside pitch, he pulls his hands in, gets the barrel to the ball, and he drives it into the right field bleacher. So Endy Rodriguez, 2nd home run of the season. He now leads all Pirates catchers in home runs with 2.
I think he's responsible for half of them now, right? Half the home runs.
49 at bats into his career, and he has surpassed Austin Hedges in home runs. But really, really great game from Endy. That was the start of it, the home run. He, like I said, got the Pirates on the board there. But then he also lays down a perfect bunt single against the shift in his 2nd at bat, and then another single in his 3rd at bat. He's 3 for 4, his first 3-hit game of his career. All around, really nice game from Endy Rodriguez.
Yeah, he just looks like he can hit, right? I mean, I know he hasn't lit the world on fire here to start, but man, those are just beautiful swings and good at bats and just smart. They're putting that bunt down. And how many guys have we watched try to put bunts down this year and have been unable to do it? Guys that you would expect it a little bit more from, more of the slap and slap hitters, that sort of thing. And he puts that just beautiful down, first base easy, then gets another single. He's a dynamic athlete, and you can see it. You can see it even as he fails that, there's just something there. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do the rest of the season.
Yeah. Excellent game. His best we've seen him probably since his call up, honestly. On top of that, not a whole lot offensively, but they were aided with the long ball today. So one of the things that we kind of harp on is this team isn't good enough to just string hits together. And if they're not hitting the ball over the fence, they're in trouble. Well, today they didn't really string anything together, but they were able to get that ball over the fence. So we talked about the Endy home run. Connor Joe, right after that in the 4th inning, hits his 8th home run of the season, just kind of scraped over that left field wall. But that gave the Pirates a 2-0 lead. And then the big hit to kind of put the game out of reach, Brian Reynolds pinch hit 2-run homer in the 8th inning to give the Pirates a 4-0 lead. Reynolds got all of that ball.
Yeah, he crushed it. It's nice. It was nice to see. We got a home run from the upcoming prospect that we have high hopes for, and we got a home run from a solid role player type guy, and then again our big guy, the guy that we probably need more than anybody else to produce, and he just crushed it. He had a great series. He looks like he's come out of his funk a little, and again, with what's left of the season, you would just love to see him finish strong. Just crush it for the next 2 months and kind of calm our nerves a little bit about going into the offseason.
Yeah, no, and I think the way that Brian Reynolds finishes this season is a big part of how we feel about this team at the end of the year, right? They still have time. They have about 2 months here to really shape our opinions on the 2023 Pirates and to give us maybe a little bit of optimism heading into 2024. And Brian Reynolds finishing the year strong, like the Brian Reynolds that we know and want to see, that would go a long way to kind of just our overall thoughts on the season and how we go into 2024. I do want to say Brian Reynolds coming into today, since July 21st, that's when he started that, that streak that he's on.
That little hit streak, yeah.
But yeah, like since July 21st, 317 average, 349 on base percentage, 533 slugging, 5 home runs now since July 21st. So yeah, he's starting to come around. You're seeing some pretty good baseball out of him for the last 2+ weeks. And yeah, if he can keep this up, I think you think that Brian Reynolds, okay.
Right. Exactly right.
We should be in a good shape. Yeah.
Give us hit 10 more home runs, whatever, and right, we won't be like, oh no, has he, been so dragged down by Pirates, poor coaching, lack of development, losing environment that, oh no, right. I mean, all that's left for this season is to show us that there's some sort of hope for 2024. And that means Endy, Henry, Cruz come back and look healthy. I don't care if he produces, just look healthy. Brian Reynolds, it'd be nice to see for Brian Hayes do so. But those are the guys, Sawinski. I think today was Sawinski's 51st or 52nd hitless game. I know, those overall ending numbers look fine, and he is the best hitter on the team, but that's a lot of games where you're getting nothing. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's on one of those skids again. 0 for 3 today, which means he's 0 for 17 now in the month of August. You just need to see more consistency out of him. You look at the overall body of work and you think, hey, this guy's got something. But you watch him on a day in and day out basis, and he's just so frustrating.
You're more frustrated, right? If you watch him every day like we do, you don't have a lot of faith in him.
No.
Yeah, right. If you took some Kansas City Royal fan and look at his numbers, you say, "Oh man, this guy's good," but it's not what we're seeing on a day-to-day, game-to-game basis. I like he has improved from last year, so he seems to be a good kid, hard worker. So hopefully he can continue to take steps forward. But if he's going to be out there every day, we can't have these just long stretches. It's just too much.
Yeah, I'm not quite ready to give up on him because, like you said, there is clear improvement from last season. It's just the consistency is completely lacking, and they need him to show just some sort of level of consistency. You look at his Fangraphs page, and it's like, okay, this guy looks like it's a valuable guy, but Jack Sawinski hasn't really been valuable to this team. Outside of like a handful of games,
right, that's exactly. 25 games, maybe. It seems like where he's done all this damage.
Yep.
It's nice when it happens, but that's what you look for from, the guy playing second base batting ninth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not a power position, sort of core player. We expect more. He's got to do better. It just, again, it makes me, I know it's post-game show, but man, our coaching staff doesn't seem to be helping anybody. It seems like you've got a willing pupil and a guy that's willing to put in the work, and it just doesn't, absolutely nothing to help them. I mean, again, I don't want to go off on that rant, but I'd like to see new coaches next year.
Yeah. I mean,
new pitching coach.
I think we can kind of all agree that, new coaches, especially hitting coaches. And I'm not saying like this is I think hitting coaches get a lot of the blame when things are going wrong. And, sometimes you have to just look at the lineup and say, these guys aren't doing what they need to do. 1 through 6, we talked about 1 through 6 yesterday. 1 through 6 went 0 for 23 yesterday. 1 through 6 today, 2 for 22.
Yeah.
So like, and racking up a lot of strikeouts. Ke'Bryan Hayes 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Swinsky 0 for 3 with the strikeout. Henry Davis 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Palacios 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Just a pretty poor performance again by the guys that you need to hit.
The guys that are supposed to generate your offense. Right?
Yeah. And luckily it was Endy Rodriguez, Brian Reynolds, Connor Joe. Like, it was 3 hits today. That was the difference in today's game, because outside of those home runs, nothing else happened.
Yeah. I kind of wish that they would just, and again, Reynolds and McCutcheon didn't play, but I understand that Endy hasn't exactly looked like a number 3 hitter at this point, but it's about growing this team. I'm ready to just put Kutch at leadoff. He still gets on base. Bat Reynolds second, put Endy third, put Henry Davis fourth. When Cruz comes back, put him somewhere in that mix, and let these guys grow into these roles, because putting Josh Palacios and Rivas, and I mean, how much are you counting on them for your future? I'm not counting on them at all. If they contribute, exactly. I mean, if Connor Joe is the 4th, the 26th man on the roster, that's fine. That's fine. But I'm not expecting any great things out of him. Palacios, can compete with him for the 26th on the roster, and Rivas as well. They're not the guys that are going to lead this thing forward. So why aren't they batting 7th, 8th, and 9th? I would just assume get these. I mean, again, it's not like you're putting in these great hitters. You're putting in Palacios and Rivas. You mean to tell me you expect more out of Rivas than you do Endy Rodriguez? I mean, and Endy seems like a guy to me that will rise to a challenge, right? It's at this point, let's put our best, most talented guys up there and see what happens.
And I think the biggest point that you made there is you want to give your young guys who have a future with this team just as many opportunities as possible, right? When you bat Josh Palacios first, and you bat Alfonso Rivas third, and you bat Connor Joe second, you are purposely giving those guys more opportunities than Endy Rodriguez. You're giving them more opportunities than Henry Davis. You're giving them more opportunities than Liover Peguero. Guys who may actually have a future on this team. You're giving just stopgaps more opportunities than those guys. And I get, like, there's also the argument you could say, hey, like, you want to ease these guys into the majors, make sure they're comfortable. And I get that. But I think just giving them an extra bat would be better. Like, the number 1 hitter is going to have more at bats than the number 9 hitter, or the number 8 hitter, or the number 7 hitter. So the guys who you want to see get plate appearances should be towards the top of the lineup.
Right. I want as many at bats as possible for these guys, as many opportunities, as many situations, all that stuff, and their future. If we have any hope of, because you don't expect the Pirates to go out and make a big signing. We've listened to Bob Nutting say he'll spend when it's time for a dozen years, and then watch him not spend when it's time. So we don't have a lot of faith in Cherington to bring in acquire good talent really, and then develop it. So, I mean, these are your guys. These are your horses going forward. And again, it's time. It is time. They've been here. They've been up long enough now.
Yep.
I think most of the time we'll tell you the lineup doesn't really matter and all that sort of thing, but it does as far as giving them opportunities. And that's really what we're looking for. I just want to see them getting as many at bats, many plate appearances as possible, in as many different situations as possible.
Yep. You have anything else to add on the offense? Like I said, it was three hits pretty much.
But it highlights, where this team. Right, we can't string hits together, so we have to get the ball over the fence. When we do, good things.
Yeah, and again, that's kind of where we're at right now. When the power shows up, this team looks decent, because when the power shows up, they have good enough approaches that a lot of times those home runs are multi-run homers, because they do get people on base with all the walks that they get. But the power is just so few and far between that, yeah, it's frustrating at times. So today, 3 homers, 1 2-run homer, 2 solo shots. And that was all the scoring. So that was nice to see today. Heading back to the pitching, we talked about Oviedo. Let's just touch on the bullpen guys. Colin Holderman comes in the 8th inning. At that point, it was 4-0. He comes in, pitches a scoreless frame. His 9th straight scoreless outing for Colin Holderman. He looked really good. He has looked pretty impressive since coming back from the IL.
Yeah. You're beginning to start thinking that maybe his struggles were physically related, So, yeah, I mean, that's what we need. We need him to be, right? We need him to be an 8th inning, a viable, reliable 8th inning guy, and that's what he's looked like since he's come back from the IL.
Yeah, so really, really good outing from him. He hit 100 miles per hour on the gun, at least one time. But 12 pitches, 7 strikes. He gets a strikeout. ERA down to 3.29 on the season. And then Carmen Mlodzinski came in for the 9th. Wasn't a save opportunity, so no Bednar. So Mlodzinski comes in, gets into a little bit of trouble, gives up a run, but it's unearned. Leover Peguero made an error. Brian Hayes made an. I guess Peguero's wasn't technically an error.
Technically an error, but it was an error, right?
And then Brian Hayes makes an error with 2 outs in the inning that would have ended the game. Brian Hayes' first error in like 102 games or something like that.
I don't know the way they said that. He said it's his first. He hasn't made a fielding error, but he's made some throwing errors.
Gotcha.
I think that's how that was phrased, or how.
Okay. But it was just Hayes' 4th error of the season, and luckily it didn't cost the Pirates too much. Like I said, it gave up a run, but at that point they had a 4-run lead. But Mlodzinski gets out of that 9th inning. I thought they may bring in Bednar there. He was warming up, and it was a safe situation, but they decided against it. He had pitched 2 straight games, I believe.
Yeah. And I think he pitched in that first one. I think he pitched like 30 pitches or something.
Yeah, so give him the day off, get him rested up for this Braves series, which they probably won't ever use him for. So.
No, I don't see a lot of save opportunities. Spencer Strider pitching tomorrow. So
you don't see save opportunities coming up against the Braves, Doug?
Well, last year I went to a 4-game series in Atlanta, and we lost all 4. So Spencer Strider just motored everybody.
Yeah.
It's an unfair competition when we play the Braves.
I'll say this. I don't know if anybody's paid that much attention to the Braves, but holy crap, like their lineup is just so impressive.
Tomorrow when you watch that game and those stats pop up in the corner, right, you're just going to get more and more depressed. You're like, oh, this is what a lineup is supposed to look like.
There are multiple guys on this team that like are in MVP conversation.
Right.
Like Ronald Acuna Jr., Matt Olson, Sean Murphy, Austin Riley's having a hell of a year. Albies having like this lineup isn't even fair.
Yeah, I mean it's just we're so used to 5 through 9, 4 through 9 being terrible, and then we look at like Ozzy Albies batting 7th or something. It's like,
Yeah, so the Pirates are going to have to be on tomorrow. It's a pretty even pitching matchup, like you said. Spencer Strider against Osvaldo Oviedo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a clash of the Titans.
Yeah, yeah. So,
What is it?
oh,
15 strikeouts, 18 strikeouts for the Pirates tomorrow.
I don't even want to know. That is interesting. I'm curious to see what that strikeout over under total is going to be tomorrow.
Yeah. Take the over.
Spencer Strider has 208 strikeouts on the season.
He
And it's
doesn't need a
August.
third pitch, but yeah.
Like,
how many say he has 200? How many?
208.
Yeah, he will surpass 220 tomorrow. So probably by the fourth inning.
Yeah, that's let's see what happens. Hey, anything could happen. It's baseball.
Yeah, right. It's baseball, and Vito can go 8 shutouts tomorrow. You never know.
There we go. I don't know if that could happen.
Yeah. Maybe anything can't happen.
But I think that'll do it for here. Again, Pirates win 4-1. They split the series in Milwaukee. We will be on, DiNardo and me will be on tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. sharp-ish for Starbucks. So make sure you pop in for that. And then we'll have the post-game show tomorrow after the Pirates defeat Spencer Strider, despite his 20K performance.
Go buy some of our merch. I'd be wearing mine now, but it's still en route. So
there you go. Speaking of Doug, go ahead with the plug. NS9 merch store. There's 2 more days where everything's 20% off. So if you wanna hop on that, I know Bucko Mike's been complaining about the cost of the hoodies. Bucko Mike, it's a hoodie. That's how much hoodies cost, right. And you can get 20% off today and tomorrow. So remember,
today's the day, Bucko Mike.
All right, guys. Again, Pirates win 4-1. Thanks a lot for joining. We will be back tomorrow morning with Starbucks. See you all.
See you guys.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.